Philip Ingram, I'm sure, as a former senior military intelligence officer, you want to come back in on all of that.
Yeah, Sean's exactly right. Putin will go for Moldova next, and Transnistria in particular, which is the Russian breakaway part of Moldova. What came out in that is, and Sean didn't quite mention, is the Ukrainians are stepping up hugely when it comes to their own domestic manufacturing of military capability.
Drones in particular.
Drones
that has been the big revelation of this war.
And their cruise missiles. And the one thing that's holding them back is a lack of money. Their manufacturing capacity isn't at full tilt at the minute because it doesn't have the money to get all the components that it needs to get in. That's where Europe can provide a lot of support.
And people will say, well, hold on a minute, why are we funding that war? What do you say to that? Why? No, we've got problems of our own.
Because those problems will spill over into our own countries, and the very, very small amount of money that it's costing us would turn into huge amounts of money when Putin comes further.
I don't know why we haven't just taken all those frozen Russian assets and just handed them over. Off you go. And people go, well, there's corruption in Ukraine. All countries have corruption at this level. All, particularly former Soviet Union countries. If you lived under socialism, corruption is the only way to function and to get ahead. So it's no worse there than anywhere.
Exactly, and we're seeing Europe starting to come together, but it's so slow from a political perspective, and this is why decisions aren't being made to give lots of weapons and to seize the Russian assets and give those to Ukraine and everything else.
Also, we've still got a load of Western nations in Europe still buying Russian oil and gas.
Exactly, and Donald Trump's exploiting that to do even less, and that's the trouble.
Yeah, but Donald Trump's making a lot of fair points.
He's making some very fair points about it, but he's not only is he making fair points, but he's using it as an excuse. He should say, you have to stop this by this date, and we're going to up our level of support. I wish Donald Trump would give more funding, and I wish he would, and I don't think it's just a European war, but I also completely understand they have to save their resources for China and Taiwan. So.
They've got other interests. This is a transcontinental country having to deal with this. Europe should be able to defend their own territory, and the fact that we can't, I think, is a bit of a giveaway that we have lost that battle. Can I just get to you some other breaking news? It emerged a little bit earlier that Nicolas Sarkozy, the former French president, has been found guilty in a case involving criminal conspiracy, in which he's conspiracy in a case related to taking millions of euros of illicit funds from the late Libyan leader Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Paris Criminal Court acquitted him of all other charges, including passive corruption and illegal campaign finances, but he has been found guilty of the criminal conspiracy. He has just been, in the last few moments, sentenced to 5 years in prison and ordered by the court to be taken straight into custody. Bearing in mind, he's a wealthy man. He's married to Carla Bruni, a very wealthy woman from a wealthy family. Lovely house in the south of France, being close to it, not in it, obviously. The thing is, God, be honest with me, it is the norm that former presidents of France are found guilty of some sort of, I don't want to libel them all, but I'm pretty sure I don't think I can think of one who has not faced some sort of criminal charges involving something to do with money after leaving office, sometimes during the time they're in office. Yeah,
clearly he didn't set the conditions to stop him from going from living in the French palaces to a palatial cell. Which your French president seemed to do.
Well, Sarkozy claimed the case was politically motivated. He was accused of using the funds from Gaddafi to finance his 2007 election campaign. He was president of France until 2012.
Did he donate any to the Labour Party?
Behave. But the prosecution alleged that he promised to help Gaddafi combat his reputation as a pariah with Western countries. Mind you, Tony Blair was happy to work with that, shaking hands with him in the desert and all
exactly.
that. That said, think about Gaddafi, terrible, awful, terrible, ghastly human being, committed awful crimes, but nevertheless he did keep on top of the lunatic Islamic ideologues in his country,
in the same way Saddam Hussein in Iraq.
Yeah, exactly. That's you choose your enemy. But yet another French president dealing with that. Also, another story that's been emerging this morning, and this is about FIFA discussing a ban on Israel from international football ahead of the 2026 World Cup. We'll let a load of other countries join, but the world and European governing bodies were urged this week by United Nations advisory experts, so the usual captured thoughts, to suspend all Israeli teams over the war in Gaza. Trump administration apparently working very hard to prevent that. I would have thought that they would do an awful lot of work would they not, to be making it very, very hard financially for FIFA to operate, because, you know, they all desperately want that American market and the American sponsors, don't they? Let's face it, FIFA's about money, not football. Well, exactly. We know that. But again, this absolute outrage. We've seen this over the Eurovision Song Contest. You know, whether Israel should be banned. You know, Ireland going, well, if Israel are in, then we won't be in. Oh, sod off! You're not going to win. Your last few people were absolutely terrible. I have to say, if Israel's not in it, I won't watch it then. I mean, it's just, even the BBC sort of umming and ahhing about it. This, you know, this whole sort of, you know, banning of Israelis who've got nothing whatsoever to do with the Israeli policy in the war. But by the way, also, we don't seem to do the same thing with any other country that is involved in a war. There is not genocide in Gaza. Simple fact, there is not. This is no different to any other war in terms of actually, you know, the death rate, other than the fact that the civilian, the non-combatant death rate is actually far lower than in any war that any Western country. And anyway, it's actually irrelevant to whether or not this is a just war or not. Every Western country, if they had faced what they faced on October the 7th 2 years ago, would have done exactly the same and probably more. I find it extraordinary. I think this is very, very sinister. Just as we are in 1930s territories with Vladimir Putin, in you know, in terms of like, oh, just the Sudetenland then, oh, just Czechoslovakia. Oh, just no. I'm sorry, guys. Wake up to the threat from Putin, but also wake up to the threat in terms of the anti-Israeli agenda that is going across the world, that is being pushed. There is more behind this. It is very, very, very sinister, and it needs to be fought against.
Oh, the Iranians behind it. Putin's behind it. You know, the Israelis have lost the information domain. They don't help themselves with what they're doing in the West Bank, and they need to wake up to that and sort that out, because then a lot of this would start to go away.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. I don't think it would.
But Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, has got it right. You know, we're not going to recognise a Palestinian state. We're not going to do any negotiations until
all the hostages Hamas
released,
lay down their arms.
Hamas lay down their arms and everything
and they accept the right of Israel to exist.
Yeah, exactly. Get rid of the.
It's almost like she actually knows what she's talking about, as opposed to our Prime Minister and Macron and Marconi going, oh, Palestinian state, raise your flag.
The flag.
But by the way, Hamas, would you mind awfully bringing the hostages back?
And you know, we're getting the mainstream media now turning around and saying officials in Gaza have said there have been X number of casualties. The Israelis have caused X number of people to be killed overnight. No, it's not officials in Gaza. It's Hamas. And people need to start calling it out as it is. We need to get rid of the flowery language and call it out.
We really try here, but I feel like we are a voice sort of drowning in an ocean of lies. And the BBC, I think, are the major. I don't believe for a nanosecond that the war reporters and the senior correspondents and editors at the BBC don't know that what they're doing is a lie. It is a lie. Sue me. I mean, seriously, what you're doing is a lie. You're perpetrating a lie on the British people.
The groupthink that's in the newsrooms, in
genuinely terrifying.
BBC, Sky, and elsewhere is terrifying, because they do believe what it is that they're reporting.
But they couldn't possibly. But again, it's like all these mass shootings of people, and they go and get aid from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, and yet there's never been. They report them as if they're fact.
There's never been any pictures.
No one. 1.5 million mobile phones, never captured one. Not one. Come on, give me a break. So much of what you're seeing with Gaza is staged. It's a lie. People in Gaza are facing a terrible time, and yes, people are dying, children included. Yeah, that's called war, folks. I hate to tell you, and I'm really sorry that anyone is dying, but there's a really simple solution. Hand back the hostages, Hamas lays down their arms, accept the right of Israel to exist, and it goes away like that. It goes away like that.
I've been throwing the same challenge out for well over a year, suggesting that people should try and find a video of a Hamas fighter been taken into the destroyed hospitals. They're all working hospitals.
23,000 we believe have died. By the way, all the hospitals were destroyed.
Yes.
And now all the hospitals are not destroyed, but they're looking after people. I can't.
But then they get destroyed again. You know, each hospital's been rubbelised. I think the Americans say half a dozen times.
I genuinely, people go, "Oh, you're Israel shill." I mean, I'm not. I'm just. It's the same as Ukraine.
We're not allowing ourselves to be played by
I don't believe any government saying. I don't believe my own government when it says things. This is just really simple. This is about black and white. It's about good and evil, and it's about facts. And I don't know how anybody who can understand any of those concepts and know anything at all about this war could be taking any other side.
Yeah. But they are.
And they are. And they are. And there are people who think they're good people. And I'm sorry, a lot of those people in the 1930s would have been on the wrong side as well.
Yeah.
And I'm really serious. We are in 1930s territories for Israel, for Jewish people in this country and across the West, and for the Western world, our civilization, and what we understand by right and wrong, and what we will do to protect right and to tackle wrong. And whether that's Putin, whether that Islamic ideology, whether it's the Hamas forces, whether it's China, we have got to wake up and step up. And yet I'm going to keep banging on about it because I'm just hoping that one extra person every day understands and takes it on board.
I've got over 40 years of experience in conflicts and analysing conflicts, and been there, done it, got the T-shirt, the badges and everything else, and I cannot understand why people are getting their analysis of what's going on in Gaza so badly wrong.
Unless it's deliberate.
Well, it is being... people are falling for disinformation deliberately fired at them, and they're too naive to sit up and go,
But I don't think BBC war correspondents are too naive.
No, they're not.
So why are they pushing that? Why are they pushing that?
And we're paying their salaries, and therefore we should be questioning that.
Yeah.